Okay, so as I was not satisfied with how I scaped this 75 gallon the first time, it was time for a redo. It started that with all the algae issues that I had, it was mainly stemming from a couple sources. One, some of the plants that I bought were not tissue cultured, they were potted plants. So the tissue cultured aquarium that I set up, I didn't really have much of an algae outbreak with that one, very little. And it cleared up after a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, as most of my aquariums have in the past. This one did not. It was a daily thing, battling the hair algae. I had to pull it out, vacuum it out every day. It got super long, and it was mainly concentrated around the Christmas moss that I'd ordered and put in here. So I've never dealt with moss before. It was the first time attempting that. I kind of felt like eventually it would probably just die off from the algae smothering it anyway. So it's one of those things I don't know. I wasn't happy with the scape anyway. I used some of the Mapani driftwood. I wasn't happy with the tannins being released into the water. That was kind of my own fault, as I didn't treat it properly to start with. But I've also read that even after you treat it, it still releases small amounts of tannins for basically the life of the wood as it breaks down. Excuse me. So I don't know. I just wasn't happy with it. I'm more of a rock person when it comes to these aquascapes. I like the rock a lot better. To me, it provides a cleaner look. With this scape that I did, I put some thought into it and I played around with it for a little while. I know it doesn't exactly look natural the way that I have the stones kind of the points up and things like that, the way the rock is laid. But I still just kind of like it the way it is. I worked with it for a little while and this is what I came up with. So we'll see. Right now, I kind of like it. We'll see if that changes over time. I'm not sure. I get kind of picky about some of these at times. So like with my son's tank, I decided to rescape it. The 40 gallon is, I pretty much left that the same. I modified it a couple times, but it's one of those things, like you look at something every day and then you find small things about it that you don't like, and then you just make changes. And with this one, I just decided to make a big change and just redo everything. So I think I'm going to be a lot happier with it this way. So I just did this last night and just figured I would let everybody take a look, anybody that's interested. I also removed the peacock gudgeons and put them in the 40 gallon breeder. I already had some in there, so I added some more in there. I took them out of this tank because I'm hoping to have shrimp breed in this tank. And after reading a lot of stuff, it seems like the peacock gudgeons will at times nip at the shrimp a lot, and then it also eats any of them that it can fit in their mouths. So they would eat the babies any chance they got. So right now, all I have are the neon tetras in here, and then I have the loaches, the windstream loaches. I have 3 of those, I believe, and I really love those. I put those in every tank I have. They're just really cool. They look like miniature stingrays to me. When they face you, the underneath of them is kind of clear, and you can see like a heartbeat and things like that. They're just really cool. I really enjoy those. They scavenge around and sift sand at times, and they're just good, like a good cleanup crew all around. I got a couple of nerite snails in there that I had taken from the other tank and put in here. I think there's only like 3. I need to get some more of those. If you followed my videos, you know about the shrimp that I ordered and what all happened there. So there were some survivors, as you can see that one guy crawling across the bottom there. I'm not sure how many actually that I found that are still alive. There's a few of them. There's not many, so I'm gonna place another order sometime here soon and get some more of them in. So we'll try another round. As you can see, I did get rid of the skimmer inlet, and I went with another stainless steel, just kind of trying those out. I haven't used them in the past, but I saw that stainless steel skimmer. I told you I went with that because of I wasn't a fan of the glass. I've had the glass lily pipes and things like that break on me, so I'm not a fan of those. So I saw that one, the skimmer one in stainless steel, is the reason that I ordered it, and kind of liked it. You know, I think it looks kind of cool. Some people don't like to see the inlet tubes and or any tubes in the aquarium, so some people don't go for that. And I mean, a lot of people like the glass just because they're clear and not as visible, but until they kind of become dirty, and then you have to clean them anyway. So I kept that route. I'm going to, since I don't have a skimmer, I do have a little bit of surface buildup now, so I am going to order another Eheim Skim 350 for this tank, and that'll take care of that issue. Let's see what else. I got to work on getting my CO2 adjusted properly for this tank. I started off running it, and I was running it a little bit lean, so I bumped it up, and now my drop checker is it's pretty yellow now, so I do have to take that down a little bit. Even though the fish seem fine, they're not, you know, don't look like they're really struggling or anything to breathe. It might actually be okay where it is, but I'm still gonna tone it down just a little bit to play it safe. I don't want them struggling or stressing or anything. So, but anyway, that's what I got. I did away with the, is it Vallisneria? I think Vallisneria, something like that. Did away with those. It was cool in one sense. I think it was growing too big too fast to me, and it already started putting out runners, and that's something I really don't want to like fool around with. I don't want something that's fast growing that's going to put out runners that I really have to stay on top of that gets that big. Now, of course, my dwarf hairgrass is, as it's relatively small anyway, so that's not going to matter. I still kept most of the Anubis nanos. Then the AR minis, I kept those. And then the, some people say like reopens, whatever it is, something with a S, T, whatever it is. I'm horrible at pronouncing all that stuff. Those are my favorite plants. I mean, you put those around, they look like miniature, like shrubs. I just really like them. So I kept this set up really basic now. So it's rock work and just a few types of plants. And then I kind of create some like little cave type things, you know, in some places that the fish and shrimp can get into and hide if they want to. That's one of the things I've kind of found over time. Like the more hiding places you give fish, the safer they feel, so they don't hide as much. So if you want to get your fish out in the open, the best thing you can do is provide a lot of cover, and they'll kind of take over from there. Oh yeah, I did keep that, I think it's a red flame sword. It's starting to put out some red leaves. So maybe that'll look pretty cool. It's the first time ever fooling one of those. I think that gets pretty big too, but I don't think it's super fast growing. I don't know how it propagates. I'm not sure if it puts out runners or not, but I've kind of barricaded it off. Those rocks are deep to the bottom in the soil. So hopefully it won't be able to spread past the little section I've created for it. I did keep the little section of Monte Carlo. We're gonna see how that goes as well. Not sure if I'm gonna like that or not. Here's kind of just a little view of what we got here. if you can see the color of that drop checker. You can tell it's definitely like more toward a yellowish color, so knock it back just a little bit. It should be fine with that. I know you don't 100% rely on those things, but I mean, it's a good base and starting point, a way to keep a check on things. But anyway, I just kind of, for anybody interested, I wanted to show you what I had going on and the changes I've made to the 75 here. And I do have plans. I'm going to add some other fish to it. Not many. I don't want to really load this tank down. Everybody knows I like the neon tetras. So that's the primary thing that I keep in here, but I'm thinking about ordering some rummy nose tetras as well. I've never tried to keep those. They say expert only, but I mean, I don't think they're that challenging or anything. So I'm probably going to try to order some of those and put in this tank. Oh, and I got off topic too. So back to the algae problems that I was having. I think a lot of it came in on the plants that I put in here, but also with this tank, I don't know what's changed with my tap water. Excuse me. So I have 2 whole house water filters, like big ones, that I have under the house. So I have a 5 micron particle filter, and then I have a carbon filter. And both of them are changed every 6 months. So with that, you know, I take a lot of impurities out of the water. So I really don't filter the water, excuse me, otherwise for my aquariums. When I dealt with saltwater and all, I did RODI, but that's a hassle. I'm not fooling with it. I don't think these guys really require it as much as all the corals and some of the fish that I kept with saltwater. I mean, some of those you really have to have pure water. A lot of people swear by using RODI water. That's fine. I mean, I just don't think it's really necessary when you're doing fresh water like this. So anyway, I'm using the 2 big filters for all of my house water, and then for drinking water we have, you know, a refrigerator that has a 3rd like carbon filter built into it. So when I make water for this aquarium, I use a 20-gallon Rubbermaid Brute trash can that's kept clean. It's only used for this aquarium, or my aquariums. So I fill it with water, I make sure that I get the temperature right, and then I add dechlorinator to it anyway, just to make sure, excuse me, that all that's cleared out and heavy metals and things like that. Well, when I started testing my water lately, my water used to be pretty much a neutral pH anyway, like straight out of the tap. Well, as it's warmed up a little bit, I just randomly kind of checked the parameters to my tap water, and the pH, excuse me, the pH was a little bit low. It was, I'm going to say it was about 6.5, something like that. So I mean, it's not a big thing. It wasn't right at that 7.0 neutral, so it was a little bit low. So I was adding some pH buffer, and I add the CChem powdered pH buffer just to add a little bit of pH to it, because I've read with CO2 is going to lower your pH and make the water more acidic. So I figured I kind of wanted to bump it up, or had it a little bit, you know, at least 7, but maybe a little bit more. So I was adding the pH buffer to it. Well, I didn't know, and I never have tested it before, but I finally got a test kit that tests for phosphorus. And I found out that algae blooms and algae can really feed off phosphorus, especially like blackbeard algae, but all the algae. I mean, plants use it too, but you know, it really can spike algae blooms. Well, I tested my tap water, and it was already had phosphorus in it, and then the buffer that I was using is a phosphorus base as well. So I think I was just adding way too much phosphorus to the water that was really causing some algae issues. So anyway, when I re-scaped this tank, I refilled it with water and I didn't add any buffer this time. So I did add some of the shrimp salt and a little of the, was it Bacteria or whatever for the shrimp. And I do have some, I didn't use it this time, but I do have some like vitamin type stuff you can put back in the water, you know, if you're using RODI water. I was adding just a little bit of that as like the, amino acids and some of the things like that. It says it helps fish, you know, the coloration and all that stuff, but I don't know how much of that's true or how much just gimmicks. But so this time, you know, I just cut out a lot of that. So I'm gonna see if it makes a difference. You know, I still, as far as the Monte Carlo, I didn't disturb it. So if you look at that, it's still got a little bit of the algae on top of it. You know, it's at, right now, it kind of has algae levels that I'm used to seeing when I do a tank startup. And it, you know, I usually get a little bit more than this. And then, like I said, 2 or 3 weeks down the road with water changes and staying on top of maintenance, it usually just goes away on its own. I've never really had an issue. So we will see what this tank does. I mean, I'm expecting to clear up. You know, the shrimp will help a little bit. They, you know, they don't make a big difference, but they pick at it a little bit and put a little bit of a dent in it. And then if you keep the water parameters right, it should clear up. Lighting, I'm still using the Fluval plant LED light up top there. And right now I'm running it at, it's basically 6 hours at a higher strength at about 80%. And then for 2 hours of the day, I have it kind of like on the dawn and dusk setting so that it's lower powered. So it's, I mean, it's getting 8 hours of light overall, but it's like less than half power for 2 hours and then about 80% for 6 hours. And I found that kind of does pretty good for me on my tanks. I just kind of stick with what I'm used to. It's one of those guys, those blue shrimp coming out. They're really cool. I really do like those, the blue neocardinas. But anyway, just wanted to update you, let you know what all's going on and changes I've made, what I'm doing. Be some more fish to come, and then I'll update you on kind of how this tank's doing after the change, if I have, you know, more algae, less algae, or what's going on with that. But anyway, thanks for watching.